Yo, YouTube, it's your boy Premier, and today we are back with another banger. In today's video, I will be going over the best builds for each position in Proam 3v3. For each position, I'll be releasing 3 different builds. Let's get this video to at least 50 likes, and I'll drop this new custom jump shot. It's a green bean money machine that I found next. Also, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and let's dive right into the video. The first position I'm going to start with is the point guard position. After you choose your skill breakdown, go on to the next, and for your physical profile, you will choose the top physical profile. Next, for your potential. For the first build, this is exactly how you will break down his potential. You will max out all of his shooting. You will max out all of his playmaking until his post moves hit a 47. Or if you really don't care that your player is a defensive liability, you could do this right here. Kind of lower your block down by a little, lower your steal down by a little, and increase your playmaking all the way, and you get the 23. But offensively, if you know you can score every single time, you're gonna win the game anyway. And that's what this build right here is designed to do. For the body shape, I highly recommend going compact. It's really good for blow-bys. It's a really good body type for a point guard build. The height that I recommend is going to be 6'3". 6'4" is a really good height as well. 6'5" after you lower the arms all the way, it can be done, but I really don't recommend it. I recommend the 6'3". This year, smaller guards can still play really good defense, and you really don't get bodied like that, as opposed to previous years where if you made a 6'3" guard, you wouldn't even be able to play defense. So 6'3" this year is the wave. The weight for the guards this year, I recommend going like a 172, or if that's a little too light for you, I recommend coming up here and maybe going 181. But personally, me, for my guard builds, I went 172. I wanted the most acceleration possible when making my guard build. For the wingspan, I recommend going with the lowest wingspan. As you can see, the 91 ball control, that means when you hit 99 overall, you're gonna have +4 to all your attributes. So that's a 95 ball control along with a 92 open shot 3. Now for your takeover, this is gonna be preference as well. I recommend for this build sharp takeover, shot creator takeover, or playmaker. Personally, me, I went with the sharp takeover. A lot of people say sharp takeover is not a thing anymore, but I promise you, sharp takeover is more powerful than ever. So this is the offensive threat build. Highly recommend it if you want to be like a Steph Curry type build. Now, for the next build, you are also going to want to choose this pie chart right here for the skill breakdown, the one with the most shooting and the most playmaking. For your physical profile, almost any guard build, if you're a ball handler, I recommend this physical breakdown right here. For your potential, this is going to be preference. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward and fill this out very quickly. For your potential, for your attributes, this right here is what I recommend. I recommend maxing out all of your shooting. I recommend upgrading your driving layup to a 70. That way you unlock the layup packages. I recommend upgrading your driving dunk to a 60. That way you unlock at least some of the dunk packages. Upgrading your passing accuracy to an 87, not an 88. If you upgrade it that 1 extra point, you don't get an extra badge upgrade. Next, for your ball control, make that an 88. You want to have the highest ball control possible. Now for your defense, a lot of people sleep on the defensive capabilities of this build. As you can see here, we have almost all of our defensive badges. As you can see here, we have almost all of the defense, almost all of the rebounding maxed out, have the defensive rebounding on 70, have every other stat maxed out, and you get 10 defense and rebounding badges. This is very slept on for this point guard build. It almost makes you like a two-way playmaking shot creator. It's crazy overpowered. Highly recommend this. I actually have this build made myself, and I have it at a 94 overall with a good amount of his badges, and it's very overpowered. Highly recommend this build. For the body shape as well, go compact. For the height, I recommend the 6'3". For the weight, I recommend going 172 pounds. For the wingspan, I recommend minimizing that. That way you get the 82 open shot 3 and you get the 91 ball control. It's crazy overpowered on this build, what it can do and how deep it can fade consistently and green. Now for the takeover, this is going to be preference. Once again, I recommend the sharp takeover. This is what I have on my guard build. when it comes to fading, when it comes to just hitting open 3-pointers, you're really not gonna miss, and that's what a lot of the 3v3 is this year. It's just shooting threes. Whoever gets the most boards and hits the most threes is gonna win the game. So I recommend the Sharp Takeover. Now, the Playmaking Shot Creator is a very overpowered build. This is personally the build that I have. I highly recommend it. Now, for the next point guard build, the third and final, it's going to be the most playmaking for the skill breakdown. Next, once again, for the physical profile, if you're a guard, 99% of the time, you're going to want to choose the top one with the most speed, the most acceleration. Now, I'm going to go ahead and go through this and fill this out very quickly. So this is the exact attributes I recommend if you're looking to have that isolation type guard. If you're looking for that slashing playmaker type build, I want you to come up here, max out the close shot, the driving layup, the driving dunk, come down to the shooting, max out the mid-range, max out the 3-point, max out the free throw, put the post fade on 74. Max out your pass accuracy, max out your ball handling, come down the defensive rebound, and max out everything all the way up until block, and you'll be able to get it all the way to about 56. And as you can see, this is one of the most overpowered builds in the game. It has over 55 badge upgrades. It is insane. At the point guard position, it's hard to ask for more. For the body shape, for this build, I recommend compact, or I recommend defined, or the built. It's really all preference. I personally like the compact build. Then for the height, you want to make him 6'5". As you can see, he does not lose any ball control all the way up until 6'5". So that's incredibly overpowered for this build. Now for the weight, this is gonna be preference. For this build, I recommend going with 195 pounds. It is as fast as you can be, as strong as you can be without losing any stats on this build. Highly recommend 195 pounds. Next, for the wingspan, go ahead and minimize it. As you can see, it bumps up your 3-pointer to a 78. Once you hit 99 overall, that means you will have an 82 open shot 3. That is incredibly overpowered. Now, for the wingspan, I recommend you minimize the wingspan. The takeover I recommend for this build is either Shot Creator or Playmaker. Personally, I think this is like an isolation type build, so I'd recommend the Playmaker. That way, if somebody helps and you kick the ball to your teammate, he has a better chance of hitting the open shot. And as you can see, it's a slash and playmaker, similar to Kyrie Irving, Chauncey Billups, Curry. One of the best point guard builds in the game. I feel like this is going to be a really good Pro-Am build, not to mention in the Proam 3v3 scene as well. Now, we are moving on to the shooting guard position. And the first build we're going to be looking into for the shooting guard position is going to be the skill breakdown with the most shooting. For your physical profile, like I said, for most guard builds, you're going to want to choose the one with the most agility possible. As a guard, you're really not going to be down low much. Next, for your potential, I'm going to go ahead and fill this out very quickly. You're looking to build the Sharpshooting Facilitator. This build right here, as you can see, has a 95 open shot 3, can finish decently around the rim, can create its own shot, especially when you minimize his arms. Not to mention, played really good defense. This is a very good build. Highly recommend it, coming in with 50 badge upgrades. Next, for the body shape, he is a guard, so I do recommend the compact body style. Now for your height, I do recommend 6'6" for this build. That way you can play a little better defense, especially because some teams are going to have toxic lineups, run taller stretches at the 2-guard position, run taller lockdowns. 6'5" is a little small. You can do it. I'm not saying you can't. I recommend 6'6". Now for the weight, I do recommend making a smaller guard weight. I recommend doing something in the 78 acceleration range, so like a 190 for this build right here. For the wingspan, it's a shooting build, so I do recommend minimizing the arms, going down to the 78 inches. As you can see, it increases your mid-range, 3-pointer, ball handling, post moves, and it only brings down your steal and block just a little. So I highly recommend minimizing your arms for this build since you are a shooter. Next, for your takeover, since you're going to be off the ball, you're going to be playing the 2-guard anyway, I do recommend the Sharp Takeover. Shot Creator Takeover is good, but as you can see, you're going to get a bonus in catch and shoot situations. So I highly recommend the Sharp Takeover for this Sharpshooting Facilitator build. As you can see, we built the sharpshooting facilitator, similar to Klay Thompson, James Harden. This is going to be a very overpowered build in the park. I've already played against some 99 overalls with this build myself, and it is one of the most overpowered off-the-ball builds in the game up to date. Next, for this build, you're trying to build a sharpshooting lockdown. Go with the most defense, go with the most shooting for this build. Once again, it is a guard build, so I do recommend going with the most agility possible. That way you can stay in front of the ball handler. That way you can get open. That way you have the most speed, the most acceleration possible for this build. Next, I'm going to go ahead and fill this out very quickly and show you what the attributes look like. Now, as you can see right here, this build is an absolute beast. It gets an 80 open shot 3, 85 steal. It's a very balanced sharpshooting lockdown type build for playing off the ball. It can finish very well around the rim, shoot very well, and play incredible defense. This is a very good shooting guard / small forward build in Proam 3v3. Now, going over this build really quickly, you're going to want to max out the close shot, driving layup, and driving dunk for this build. Max out everything in the shooting range but the post fade. Upgrade the post fade to a 79. Upgrade the standing dunk as well to a 36. And then upgrade almost everything in the defense and rebounding as possible, but upgrade the offensive rebound to a 72. And you will end up with 6 finishing badges, 18 shooting badges, and 21 defense and rebounding badges. For like the sharpshooting lockdown type build, this is incredibly overpowered, and I highly recommend this build. Next, for the body shape, you're going to want to choose defined. I personally did a lot of comparing, and for the lockdown build, I think they have slightly longer arms. The highest I recommend this build is 6'7". 6'6" is personally what I would recommend if you want to have a taller build than 6'5", but I personally recommend 6'5". I have this build at a 91 overall, and I am a green bean money machine. Highly recommend this build. Now for the weight, as you can see, coming down to the weight does increase your acceleration all the way to a 91, but the goal here is to keep at least some of the strength. I do recommend going with 184 pounds. If you don't mind losing that little bit, you can come down as well to the 178 pound range. I personally ended up going 184 pounds for this build. Next, for the wingspan, you do want to minimize it. As you can see, 83 open shot 3 on a lockdown primary type build. This is insane. Highly recommend going with this build right here. Now for the takeover, I do recommend you choose the lockdown. The slasher takeover this year is very overpowered as well. Sharp takeover, you're going to be playing off the ball, and they're going to be like hugging you if you choose a sharp takeover. If you're a lockdown or if you're a slasher, there's a good chance they might not even guard you for at least one possession in the game, just to test and see if you can shoot. I highly recommend making the lockdown takeover. And as you can see, we have built a two-way sharpshooter. This build right here is crazy overpowered. Highly recommend it. You're going to be knocking down a very high rate of your open threes and playing excellent on-ball defense. Highly recommend this build right here. Now, for the next build we're going to look at making, go ahead and choose the skill breakdown with the most finishing, the most shooting. Now, for your physical profile, go ahead and select the top one right here. Highly recommend the most speed, the most acceleration possible. Now, I'm going to go ahead and knock this out really quickly, and I'll be right back with the updated attributes. This build right here ends up with 55 badge upgrades. This build is an absolute monster off the ball. Highly recommend it. And for the height, I do recommend going with like a 6'6" here. Just that way off the ball you can still play good defense and you can score at a very high rate. Next, for your weight, I do recommend coming down in the weight department a little bit, maybe not minimum, kind of somewhere in that 195 department. That way you still have a good vertical, a good acceleration, but you're not losing too much of your strength. If you do want to come down a little lower, I do recommend like the 182 if the 195 is a little too heavy for you. For the wingspan, like any other guard build, I do recommend minimizing his arms. That way you get the highest open shot 3 possible and the highest ball control possible. The -2 steal, -1 block, we're really not too worried about it. For this build right here, the takeover is really all about choice. You do have 21 slashing badges, you do have 21 shooting badges, It's really all about preference. You could even throw a playmaker in there. That wouldn't really make sense. Personally, I recommend the sharp takeover or the slasher. I recommend the slasher takeover for this build right here. With the slashing stats this build right here gets, it's crazy overpowered. If you get a good fancy footwork, you get a good contact finisher, and you just drive to the rim, do euros, hop dunks, it almost can't be stopped when you're in takeover. And as you can see, we build the 3-level scorer, similar to Bradley Beal, Jerry Stackhouse, James Harden. This build right here can score at almost any level of the game. Highly recommend it if you want that kind of Kevin Durant, James Harden type scoring build. Now, on to the final. We are going to be making the best big man builds, and here we go. First things first, for your skill breakdown, the first big man build we are actually looking at, you're going to want to come down and choose the one with the most defense and the most rebounding possible. Next, for your physical profile, I did a lot of comparing here. This right here is a very solid big man build, but the one I personally recommend after doing a little bit of math, this right here, in my opinion, is the best by the numbers for a big man. And on your potential, I'm going to go ahead and fill this out very quickly and show you what the attributes look like. So let me break down this build right here really quickly. As you can see, it totals up with 48 badge upgrades. And at 99 overall, the reason I feel this build right here is better than my previous video, the Shaq type build that I released, is because at 99 overall, you're going to receive the +4 to all your attributes, and that means you're going to have a 99 interior defense, block, offensive, and defensive rebound. At 99 overall, with the proper badges, this build right here is absolutely unstoppable. And next, for your body shape, like any big man, I do recommend going burly for any big man build. It helps with the screens, it helps boxing out down low. I highly recommend burly. And then for the height, this is all preference based on your big man, what you want to do. I personally recommend 7'1". I think it is the most balanced height all around the board. And for the weight, this is preference as well, but I absolutely think it's a necessity to go 290 pounds. Next, for your wingspan, he is a big man, so I do recommend maxing out his arms. Now, this is preference as well. For your takeover, I've seen a lot of rim protectors, and I just don't see as many animations as I was seeing last year. Glass cleaners this year are getting a lot more love. Highly recommend glass cleaner. They get more animations this year, and as you can see, it ends up totaling the glass cleaning lockdown. It is absolutely unstoppable once you get this build to 99. Highly recommend this build right here if you're looking to have that dominant paint presence of a big man. Now, for the next skill breakdown, you're going to want to choose and select the 4th one down, the one with the most defense, the one with the most finishing around the rim. This is going to be that paint beast inside type of build. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fill out these attributes very quickly, and I'll be right back with the updated attributes. Now, for the attributes, this right here is what I recommend if you're looking to build the paint beast type build. If you don't mind taking a little knock to your post fade or post moves, lower these down to 60 and upgrade your perimeter defense and steal if you're looking for more of that like lockdown rim protector type build. But if you know you're going to want to score the ball, go ahead and upgrade your post fade and post moves to build that paint beast type build. Burly is the body shape, no questions asked for this build right here. The height you're going to want to look at. Personally, I don't see any other reason not to go 7'1". It's the tallest you can be without losing that much stats. 7'1" is the most balanced, tallest, best center build at the moment in the game, in my opinion. Now, for the weight, go ahead and max out the weight. As you can see, +6 to your interior defense. This is going to help you a lot around the rim. This is going to help you being that inside center. For the wingspan, go ahead and max out the wingspan, +5 to the block. Don't really need to explain much more. Being an inside center, that's going to help you a lot. Now, for your takeover, I do recommend going with the rim protector takeover or the glass cleaner. Those are your only two options here. And in this case, glass cleaner is my preferred, simply because glass cleaner this year, they get more animations. They get a little more love this year. And as you can see, we built a paint beast. This build right here is going to be an absolute beast on the 1v1 court in Proam 3v3. Now, the next build we're going to be looking into is the sharp rebounder or sharp rim protector type of build. Go ahead and choose the skill breakdown with the most defense and rebounding and the most shoot. The second, in my opinion, is the best, the most all around for what you're going to be looking to do in the Proam 3v3 scene. Now I'm gonna knock out these attributes real quick and show you the updated attributes for this build. So for this build right here, go ahead and max out everything in the defense and rebounding department. Go ahead and max out everything in the shooting department. Max out everything in the finishing department. That way you kind of get that balanced, scoring around the rim, stretching the floor type of center. For your body shape, I do recommend the burly body shape. The only other body types I'd even consider as a center would be built or would be defined. Next, for your height, I do recommend 7 foot. Sometimes I horse paint beasts, sometimes I horse glass cleaning locks, sometimes I horse interior forces. This build at 7 foot is glitchy, bro. Highly recommend this build. And then for the weight, of course, since he's a big man, go ahead and max out that weight. For the wingspan, go ahead and max out his wingspan. And next, for your takeover, I do recommend the glass cleaning takeover. And this build totals out as a glass cleaning lockdown. It doesn't have the sharpshooting rebounder or sharpshooting rim protector archetypes. I did a lot of testing and could not find those actual archetypes that you build. This build right here is one of the best big man builds in the game, especially if you get a good jump shot to go with it. Now, if you made it all the way through the video, I appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, don't forget to subscribe if you're new. It's your boy Premier, and I'm out. Peace.